I look awful. Sorry. So I'm just gonna simply read. Tobias, please move. This is the cat. He's about to show you his butthole. That's the cat that was wanting to come inside. I feel like he was doing it because he wasn't the center of my attention. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and just read what I wrote last night. Because I'm nervous, and going live is different. I was going to get ready for it, but I feel like I'm still going to be nervous then, so. As he is strengthened within me, though I am weak, I don't feel like I'm getting weaker anymore. It always feels more like being overwhelmed with his positivity and his expectations of me. Like instead of expecting me to fail, like I do myself, or like others may expect from me, due to my history and whatever reason, God is different, and he sees me different because his perspective is higher. He showed me this, and to experience such graceful forgiveness and love, because last night, that's what it was. As I'm looking up, I just know that he is love. And that he loves me, and he loves you. He loves us. He loves each one individually. Hope. Oh my God. Please don't do this. Okie dokie. I mean, I'm okay. Are you gonna get sick, or are you like checking on me? Because mommy's okay. Sorry. Okay. So, I don't know what is going on with you guys. Hope things don't move anymore. I'm using your belly as a... Okay. Alright. We'll see how this works. Oh, I think she's trying to get away from Booker. She's not a huge fan of being bit in the face. So, 3 minutes in. Anyway, so, he is love. Totally. Tonight, last night, mid-panic attack, while attempting to get Kiki and Pumpkin, our cats, back in the house where they don't go outside unless it's in the catio, in the middle of ongoing storms with possible damaging winds and rotation, which had rough hail falling from the sky today. Like the rest of Tornado Valley, including much of Indiana and the surrounding counties, I saw God's cloud of glory. It was here, in the valley of the shadow of chaos, that I saw him drape over our home his glorious presence. A dusky blue and purple haze with this mountainous white burden protruding from above it. One thing I thought of was, to God even the darkness is light. It wasn't that he obeyed me, but that he let mercy work in favor of me, or for me, showing me that he loves me. Not only does he see and hear me, and he fights for me, but I too see and hear him. And now I'm holding and harnessing the ability and the crossroad of decision making of, am I going to continue fighting for him. And how do I do that? I used to think I was a ride or die chick. Because I like, the one thing I could hold on to and be proud of, I felt, was my loyalty. Until it was no more. And as far as what I held up, you know. And so now it felt more like riding and dying. And the R and the riding and dying. And I thought of ROI. There's a girl that does prophecies on YouTube. She had a dream. And in her dream, God showed her ROI. And she looked it up. It said return on investment. When I looked it up in the Bible, it's EL space ROI means, I don't remember everything, but basically that God sees you. So, long story short, it made sense to me in a different way last night. Return on investment. What a complex definition. A duplex definition. The return of an investment. The investment is an investment of active faith. That's what I learned last night. It's a duplex moment, harnessing the defining moment of double blessings, and it was a pivot point in my life last night. Found in the simplicity. It is the investment of active faith and trust in the waiting. It's called our waiting, W-A-D-I-N-G, season. What does that look like to have that faith? To make that investment of active faith? It's believing, decreeing, and praying. Now I feel like they're just being buttholes, and I'm not sure why. So, maybe I'm being a butthole. Okay. Sorry. I don't know. Normally they don't. Okay, that's a lie. The trusting is the groaning out to God. Trusting that the Holy Spirit would hear my request as I was requesting for intercession and intervention. That trusting that He would be able to interpret my groaning, and that He would be able to pray better than I would be able to pray, because I lean not on my own understanding anymore. I'm trying not to. What do I do in the waiting? How is that? How am I fighting and waiting on God as He fights for me? I'm stepping out and I'm looking up. Instead of remaining in that panic state of being knelt down behind the car trying to get the cat out from under the car, thinking, oh my gosh, what if it starts to storm and I can't get her, and we both, snowball of anxiety. So I was looking up to check the clouds, and in the midst of these dark clouds, just like, it looked like a funnel cloud, was this white, barely protruding out at first. And I noticed that it was different than anything I've ever seen before. And so I just looked up and I was like, so I kept watching it. I felt God. I'm sure some people are like, it's a cloud. Like, what? Yes, clouds and skies are beautiful. But there was glory. Because in between, when I had stopped praying and believing, came inside, went back outside to take pictures for mere just like beauty, admiring it, before that big cloud had came, the cats got out. I started to look away from Jesus, looking at the wind and the waves, and was no longer walking on water like Peter. And I started to fall, and he reached out and he lifted me back up. Had I not have turned and looked up and continued to look up and know and trust what God was doing right there, I would never have seen what would soon come out of this small area. And I was just like, what are you doing, God? There was a fear, and it was a fear past. I thought I had the fear of God, but it was like a fear of judgment. It wasn't a fear of God. I didn't realize that until last night. So, looking up regardless. And holding my peace is to be reconciled through Christ, my rescuer and my refuge, not through my works. I have things that are changing, and I struggle with knowing where does my part end and where does willful sin and like repetitive sin begin, because, you know, God has helped me so much, but I don't have a testimony of like, yeah, I got saved. I did immediately get saved from a lot of things, but an addiction is not one of those things. And yeah, so try not to. Anyway, so and this was all amazing. However, I did let my attitude and my privileged mindset steal the show almost immediately after. Once that cloud started to go away, which it was there for a long time, I turned around, I'm like, oh yeah, Pumpkin, and I went inside, I'm like, shoot, I didn't get her. Thought my husband was going to help me. You know, he was in the middle of playing a game. He's like, she'll come back, you know. She was just under the car. I was afraid she'd kill something, though, so, like the bunnies and stuff, so, they're not my bunnies, they're just wild bunnies, but I found myself cursing. Well, I began cursing and fearing, and very clearly upset that no one, not even our dogs, would help me get Pumpkin, the last one left. I started to even be mean to Pumpkin. I was like smacking at the car, like not to hurt her, but like to scare her enough to get her to come out, because she would not come out. She wouldn't even move. She was just like, she would go between the vehicles, and I'm like, really, dude? Like, I was getting irritated, and I was scared. And then Hope went inside and didn't even want to come outside, which I'm sure she could feel my like freaking out, you know. And I got upset. I got so mad, and I was like, effing fine, you know, like, and I was cursing outside and foolish. And it was here, though, that once again, like I said, he reached out to me. He gave me a second chance to reach back out to him and to see him there. And it wasn't until I started to write this, which was hours later, that I seen this. And it was for me to learn independently that I can trust in God more than I can trust in a dog to come help me and have my back, or my husband to come help me. You know what I'm saying? And like, Pumpkin was safe, and there's much more to worry about and to fear than just, even if she didn't come home, which sounds awful, but like, you know, me acting the way I acted and the way I felt, it's basically like it had already happened. So, and it was bringing me into a lower place as well, and the people around me, the animals around me, you know, like, who wants to come to somebody that's freaking out? So anyways, he met my needs. He met me where I was at, and he met my needs. through hardship. And he was like, here, I'm right here. And I figured out. No, I'm just kidding. But that's what it felt like last night, though. But he also brought me back to humility. And I noticed that after victory, we become vulnerable to prideful temptations. It's a slow intrusion. That is made, and it is strengthened or unstrengthened, decreased, like it is increased or decreased via each decision that we make. So each stepping stone up or each stepping stone down is determined by the decisions we make and who we make them with. And the intentions of what we made them. But anyway, so because of the power. Oh, and it's not fate. Temptation is different than fate. We aren't predestined to become prideful through a temptation given after power is given to us. I just wanted to make that clear because it was like, for me, I'm like, whoa, we have a decision. Like, it's not, I'm just like, yeah, I know I'm prideful, but I just, when is the power of God? Like, and you ain't even gonna help me? Like, what? That's just dumb. Like, well, it's foolish. It's ignorant. But you don't have that ignorance anymore. So, I don't, is I guess what I'm saying. But, so, it's still a choice. It was a choice I made, and a continuous choice that I made last night. Thank you fully. Anyway, so, but it is, the temptation comes because of the power that was surrounding us, or is surrounding us. It becomes a shining light on a hill. You have an advantage, but we're quick to think that that advantage has anything to do with us, and it doesn't. The advantage has to do with why we're there, or why that is an advantage point, is because God is the power surrounding him. It's not because it's a hill. So when we surrender, we can change the outcome or the amount of intrusion that continues. Okay, and it helps to recognize that from my experience of last night. So I used to think that that light on that hill attracted and intimidated, always attracted and intimidated the enemy, and that is what caused us to become prideful, and that's what led us into temptation. And that's what, like, when I came in last night and I was so upset, and I'm like, trying to act like I'm not, but I'm like, look, I'm going, because I was like breaking down too, so I like, but ultimately, instead of coming in and being like, look, this is why I'm upset, and like I feel, you know, stupid, and I'm crying, and I've been scared, and just be like, ugh. I went to the bathroom, drank a freaking Seagrams, and chugged it, and was like, and I walked in the bedroom. I was gonna take a shower, relax, and I was like, I don't even know how to explain. I walked in, I stepped in a pile of crap, and I had that blocked off. So I'm like, it had to be when you were in here and I was out there, you know, and I was just like, I was so upset. And I was like, and I just I had just spent a long time cleaning up poop and pee and cleaning all day. Like, most of it was my own fault again, but like, I was just overwhelmed. You know, I was like, I can finally take a shower, get clean, relax. And then it was just like right between my toes and so in my clothes. And when I came out, I was like upset, you know, and I was like, did you see that poop in there? And Jimmy was like, my husband, you know, no, da, da, da. He said he was sorry. He was like, no, I'm sorry, but I told you I did smell poop. And he did. He did tell me that. And of course I'm like, yeah, because in my head I'm like, yeah, you smelled it, you knew where it was at because you went and got a look earlier and like all this stuff. So I kept like cool as far as on the outside, and I'm like cleaning the poop, and I said, well, I'm not cleaning it. And yeah, so that slowly blew up into a bigger ordeal, and I was just crying, cleaning poop off my foot, and I'm like, I did not take a shower, and I had a pity party, and I was sad, and I'm like, I can't believe he's not gonna talk to me. And he ended up going to bed. I'm like, I can't believe he went to bed. He like gave me a kiss, you know. But I was just like, so I sat down and I ended up writing this. But like I said, the consequences are not always caused or a reflection at all of the enemy. Sometimes I don't think he's even there or has anything to do with it or even is aware of your light shining right now. But it is the accumulation of our decisions and what we do with it and where we turn to with it. Where we go for counsel, if we do that. And not always is keeping our mouth shut a good thing, because like I was keeping it cool for the most part, but I definitely, in my insides was like, phew. So when that little bit of spark hit him, which of course it did, I was meaning for it to, once it did, I was like, duh, and I broke, and I could not take it anymore. It's all his fault? No. Did he have part in it? Yes. But like, there was steps to that. So anyway, that's a whole thing. But I used to think it attracted and intimidated the enemy. I had to challenge that belief. And if I could do so, and when I did so, that changed my mind a little bit more to being conformed to Christ instead of the world. I was able to grow through this mistake and experience, thanks to God and Christ. However, I personally felt like the issues stemmed from inside of me, in contrast to that it was the enemy. So, like it says in the Bible, that, you know, it doesn't make a man unclean what he puts into his body, but what comes out of his heart is the issues of life, you know. It was a bitter root. It's a bitter root that has harvested pride. And it just means that I allowed it to be watered with the power of God. And I'm like, whoa, that hit me harder than it did last night. I'm like, so not basically to say that for him to die on the cross for me to act that way is me basically saying that it was in vain. Because I'm going to use the very power that came from his death, his resurrection, his crucifixion, his surrender, his torture, and water this bitter root and let it become pride. And I'm going to pick that up and I'm going to throw it at his people right after he showed me his glory. Wow, that really hit me harder. Okay. The amazing thing about God is that he loves us way too much to leave us there. I wrote, he loves me way too much to leave me here. He increased my faith like I prayed for just before this, so that I could take back parts of my lowly inheritance, humility, which is indeed very much needed to better manifest and to fully manifest his glorious presence and heavenly kingdom on earth as it is in heaven. He was near yet far tonight. I was in tear-jerking awe. And now I'm like, why me, Lord? Yet he says to me, why not me? Like, why not him? Why is it about me? Like, why me? No, why not me? Like, why would it, we watch these movies as women, whatever. And, like, my knight in shining armor, like, he's gonna, I don't want to scrub all this stuff, like, but we refuse to see God as that, or to expect it from God, but we expect it out of man, and we put these high expectations on them, and God is like, it's so much simpler than all of this, and it's not in that package. He passed by slowly for one addict, and that is me. It's a heart-wrenching revelation, yet such a life-altering experience. Still, words seem so wicked in comparison to simply being present for his passing. That's like my favorite sentence of the whole thing. So, you could say my eyes fell once fear and feelings in general returned and took priority in my mind once again. Actually, I gave it the prioritized authority Jesus gave me. Ouch. Yet alone is all it shall be. And God slowly is repaying me. He is revealing him to me. I still am a part of that moment, even currently. It's much deeper than a mere humane feeling or sensation. I put sense, but I felt like sensation sounded better, but I'm not really sure the definition. But it is like joy entered me for the first time. But if so, we have truly altered the definition, therefore doing man, God, and linguistics a gigantic misjustice. How did so much evil, deception burn down and hibernate within this heart of mine? Simplistically, I left it unguarded. Not quite untrue enough. Oh, I skipped a line. Okay. Simplistically, I left it unguarded, cloakless. Yet once again, his heart speaks a muted and dramatic story to my spirit. One that I am to repeat to my soul and my heart. One that is quite different than the meaningless burden these exact words carry. The exact words meaning I left it unguarded or cloakless. I thought it was so like, wow, like wordplay, but I realized how meaningless they are and how burdensome they actually can be. To use those exact words. And the words carry that, not me. It's not quite untrue enough to be a fable. So it's a tale. It's a fib, a little white lie is in the midst. So to convey what one doesn't understand is impossible until he unveils each truth and plan. It's less about the enemy's schemes in a worldly realm or manner, and more about the alternate realities that we created with dusty hands, idolizing the ground we walk on until we wear down a temporary blessing by using it beyond its natural capabilities. This creates voids. It doesn't fill them. We placebo ourselves by obeying and seeking our feelings religiously. To conform, or I just said the same thing. To confirm and lead us to our purpose, which we have dimmed down to meaning healing. Like our purpose is our healing. That's everyone's purpose, right? But not even being healed is the purpose, but to define it, to try it, and to monetize each new idea that wouldn't be marketable if we had one for certain formula to complete the journey. For the longest time, I accepted although it left me grievous and lonely, that healing didn't include curing, still yet it would be a long ongoing process. Yet salvation, for me, at one point, took way too long. And sometimes I find myself back in that, starting to get in that mindset. Taught by those, and I'm talking now again about the world and the healing process. Taught by those who have struggled similarly, yet claim to have fulfilled their own story of processing and arriving at the end of the tunnel, degree in hand, yet little, if any, is ever shared with their clients about their own personal safety plan that successfully made them someone able to change and to charge me $100 an hour just to listen, to ask a few questions, to discuss plans, and to send us off with our own form of homework. And we're left feeling like next week will be the day of my breakthrough. Yet many still struggle. Most just mask it long enough to collect the debt and to convince you and I that what you see is what you get. Yet again, oh wait, I'm sorry. Oh, I said, let us not forget in how the Bible tells us that a Pharisee is one that is bathing and bloating in yeast. The hypocrites my handwriting is really bad right now. I'm like, okay, the hypocrites being feared okay, I'm like, I feel so stupid, but the hypocrites being I'm like, okay, anyway, so the hypocrites being the Pharisees being ate up with pride. But remember, what goes up must always come down. In the natural realm, as gravity teaches us in this world, right? I feel like I messed the whole video up, but that's why I don't like going live, but yeah. I'm not hating on them, the therapists, the different healers and stuff. I'm just finally able to see through the fog. Can a car fix a car? What about a hairstylist? Is she capable of fixing a car? I'm not saying that hairstylists can't fix cars. I'm just saying, like, would you go to a hair salon to get your radiator changed or whatever? No. It requires a person, preferably a mechanic, someone who knows what they're doing, thanks to trial and error and experience, and experiential wisdom, right? So, sorry, I don't know what's going on with my screen. I'm like, I just lost where I was at. I've been so nervous. Okay. Thanks to trial and error and experiential wisdom, leading into, trial and error leading into experiential wisdom. So can a brain fix a brain? Can a heart fix a brain? And vice versa. Can a brain fix a heart? Of course not. Humanity will not ultimately fix humanity. That's becoming abundantly clear to me now. Put Jesus, Yeshua, Abba, je t'aime, mon frère. Tu es bon. Merci beaucoup, monsieur. And I put today, refreshed. And I put bless Jimmy in this way. So yeah, that's it. And I'm about to get off here because I feel very embarrassed that I messed up and I still don't know what that says. But I will post, after I post this, I will share the links to the videos from the different stories I told. If you watched in my live before this, I kind of went into more detail and less reading on some of the things. The distractions were happening and I was outside, so you might not even be able to hear me. I've went to do so many videos and yeah. So anyways, I'm far from perfect and I just wanted to share what I got, and if you got something from it, thank you, Jesus. Holy Spirit, have your way. I ask that you protect every person that comes across this, and I thank you. I thank you for existing. And if you're here right now, it's because you haven't given up. And I feel like God wanted my sword attempts to console and comfort you. My words to be your cloud of hope. That if he can do it for me, and he will do it for me if he does it for me, he can do it and will do it for you. I don't know what I'm doing. I just started reading the Bible and turning to God because I was like, I can't do it anymore, you know? And it has God has changed my life beyond anything I ever have tried to do. And at times it's hard to feel like nothing's changing and everything's changing at the same time. And he'll do it for you. He'll do it for you. He's doing it for you right now. He wants you to not give up. He wants you to know that he loves you and that you are one that is worthy of his love, and he sees you and he hears you, and he wants you to know that you too have the ability to be able to see and to hear him. You don't have to go to other people to hear or see it or to see him. He's here in so many ways, just reaching out to you. So, yeah, I'm sorry that I am still a mess, and I'm sorry that, but I'm trying to become more obedient and just have faith that God is going to do what God is going to do regardless of me. And I don't want anyone to miss out on hearing it, so, because I know what God can do for you. He saved my life. I know I'm still an addict, and I still have issues, but he saved my life from so many things. He has changed my mind. even on my darkest days when those suicidal thoughts come back sometimes, I'm like, I have something to hold on to, and I have someone that wants me to. So, yeah. Anyway, if you watched it, thanks. And I hope it helps you in some way. I try not to just be encouraging, because it's like, I get sick of hearing the encouraging words sometimes. You know, it's like, okay, when is my breakthrough going to come? You've been saying this for 10 years, you know. Sometimes, personally, some of the best messages I've received was words of correction and conviction that ticked me off, or that had me like, I'm about to turn this, but I didn't want to turn it because somebody else was watching with me, and I didn't want to look like that prideful, or that, and I ended up sitting through that message and was like, wow. And then something happened throughout that week or that day that made me think, oh my gosh, all of these things happened, and like, it's not a coincidence, you know, like, sometimes we need that. So, yeah. I'm getting off here now. I think. I don't know how to do this. Okay.